Good afternoon. This is Rich Nass, and I am here for this week's installment of 5 Minutes With. So this week, I have Adrian Caceres, and he is the co-founder and the vice president of engineering for Ayla Networks. And I have to say, Adrian, I don't think that title really does you justice. I mean, I'm familiar with some of your accomplishments, and you're pretty, let's see, what's the right way to say this? You have a lot of accomplishments here. So I'd just like to go through this very quickly. And let's start with Amazon. I'm sure everybody asks you about this, but could you tell me a little bit about the work that you did at Amazon?
Yes, I can, Rich. By the way, thanks for having me with you today. So I really enjoyed my time at Amazon. You know, it's a really great company to work for. You know, I was part of the Kindle team. You know, and I helped ship 4 generations of Kindles there. You know, and what's really cool about that company, and something that I really learned there was applying data to the product. You know about the store. Everybody knows about how Amazon really learns about its users and the consumers and how to make the product better. One thing that was really exciting about my time there is applying that kind of culture and approach to hardware. And we did it on the Kindle. So things in terms of developing the product, making it better, it was not really just an opinion. It was really based about data and gathering and learning and iterating and not being afraid to change. So that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned there, and something that I've taken and applied it afterwards.
Okay, I'm going to let you slide with that answer. I know you said you were part of the Kindle team, and I know that you were way more than just a part of that team, but I'll let you slide that because you're one of the most modest people that I've come across. So you certainly have a passion for wireless technologies, and there are many wireless technologies out there between Bluetooth and Zigbee and Wi-Fi and NFC and all other kinds of stuff. But if you were going to start a standard today, and you wanted to do something that was with the range and data rate of Wi-Fi, what would you do differently than in the Wi-Fi that we have today?
I've been working on Wi-Fi stuff since the early days, and I mean, from a technology perspective, it's done a reasonable job given its goals, and you could argue that it should be closer to what some of the things that we do on the cellular side, for example, and on a collision-based algorithm. But I think the technologies in general have actually done a reasonable job. If you look at the standard itself, and they've done a reasonable job in terms of progressing and making the technology better and better. The biggest challenges with Wi-Fi, it's really about software. It's quality and making something really work that is consumer grade. For example, the battery. If you look at the standard, you can actually have a really long-living battery-based device based on Wi-Fi today. It's just most of the problems that we have is actually based on software that we just don't test for it. There's no interoperability for it today. So things just don't work. And it's that kind of like the last mile that is frustrating on the Wi-Fi side, because it's the external challenge of getting something out that is hard. Wireless is really truly hard, and then making it so you can buy it, that a consumer can buy it for $100 at a local store. That is really the challenge that when it comes to a lot of these technologies.
Okay, well that makes perfect sense. Okay, so let me ask you something totally different, and which is very much in line with our readers and listeners. You were a co-founder of Ayla Networks, but I don't think of you as a business guy. I think of you as a technology guy. What are some of the things that somebody who wants to start their own business, who may not have a business background, should really be aware of?
So I guess let me tell you a little bit about me, okay, that you might not know. So, I've been into high-risk activities for a really long time. So, for many years I was a skydiver, I've raced motorcycles, I was a volunteer firefighter, okay? And a startup, and I think it's actually similar, okay? And it's a lot of ways of approaching a startup that are very similar to this kind of activities. And a lot of it is about risk management, and so when as a technology side, because obviously Ayla is a technology startup, on the A round, there was a lot of big product risk associated with it, right? My investors were saying they had to believe that I could build what I was telling them I could build it. Okay, so we put a lot of focus on doing that, and we mitigated risk on the other areas. Okay, in the B round, we have proven that we could build what we said we could build. So then we had to prove that we could sell it. So the risk moved. So as a technologist, my job is to help the company, focus its resources in the areas that we do want to take risk, and then on the areas that we don't want to take risk, is help mitigate that risk. And I can use technology from both ends. And that's one of my biggest roles at Ayla. It's about being pragmatic, with a startup, and making the right choices of when I want to use that. I don't want to be on the bleeding edge on every single aspect of the technology map at all. Okay, I need to be very careful of what I choose to use today, what is good for tomorrow, and really narrow down what is really important for Ayla as a company. So I would really encourage, like guys who are starting a new company, it's like pick and choose what you want to be on the bleeding edge of, and choose carefully, because you actually want to be maybe you want to basically be a little more conservative or be careful of what you're choosing for on the other areas. I don't know if that answers
Great
your question.
Advice. So what I'm hearing is if you want to start up a company, you should first start out by racing motorcycles, and then everything's a piece of cake after that.
Well, maybe, but there's a lot of lessons learned that you can apply. In a motorcycle, if you're going to go really fast on a specific corner on the track, you might want to choose softer rubber, or you might want to switch your suspension for that corner. And it's the same thing on a high-tech startup. Focus in the areas that really matter. At Ayla, for example, was making a platform that was the same for whether it was an air conditioner or a thermostat or a glucose meter. So if you focus on that area and you do it really well, and then you can choose okay, this is not as important, so I'm going to let go of that. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. I'm not going to push that envelope on that side. And I think that people sometimes can do that when thinking about a startup. Is just pick what you're going to take a risk on, and then able to focus your resources on managing that one risk.
Very good. I love that. Well, I'm afraid our 5 minutes is up, Adrian. That was Adrian Caceres, the co-founder and vice president of engineering for Ayla Networks. Thank you, Adrian.
No, thank you, Rich. A pleasure.